Hey everybody, welcome back. The Bad Pennies are back. I'm Sho and this is my friend Alan. And we're going to continue a conversation that we started a couple episodes ago. But today's topic is about sons leaving home.
Yeah. Many of you might have young men who are still at home, even though they're past the age that traditionally that men left home.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, a number of things predicated them leaving home. Sometimes they just couldn't stand being home anymore, and couldn't wait to be on their own. Get out in the world, prove themselves, and show their fathers that they could do it and they could actually be better. That they could be a better man, and they could be more successful, and all of the kinds of things that you want to prove
are you
to yourself.
Are you talking about
others.
the experience that when you were first moved out of your house?
Well, yeah, it's we'll talk about that too, because that's going to actually come into the discussion.
Yeah.
So then, what would happen if you hung around too long? Is that your father would kick your ass out. You just say, son, so what day are you leaving next week?
Right.
I've heard of that. Your mom's packing your bags right now. It's like surprise.
Right.
So,
in my experience, I left the house. Well, I went to college, but I went away to college,
right.
And then I came home. I stayed in my parents' house for like a couple months, and it was too uncomfortable.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah, it's impossible to be around those old people anymore, right?
It was just you
wouldn't want to hang around with us if you're like 20 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we're old now. It's
yeah.
So and you got nothing in common really, other than being family, at least. And you're certainly not, when you're between 20 and 25 or even 30, you haven't realized how much you do have in common with your parents, and are at a stage where you probably don't appreciate them as much as you will later in life. So, or you did when you were really young, of course, when you needed them, right?
Right.
But when it comes to the point where you don't need them anymore, then it's you don't want to be living with them, right?
I think that was the thing for me.
They cramp your style, right? They get in the way of stuff.
It was the rules for me. I'm like, look, I understand that there are things that you want in your house the way that you want them.
Yes.
But do I have to be the one that does it all the time?
Well, there's that. And of course my mom made me crazy with her like cleaning up after me. I mean, it's like you couldn't put a drink down. Even just a glass of water.
Yeah.
You had to stay next to it because if I left it, if I walked away, even to like get on the phone or whatever, when I come back, it would be gone.
Oh, wow.
Right, and it would be in the sink, clean.
Yeah.
Drink poured out, and sometimes the glass would be just like in the dishwasher already. And it'd be like, hey, so you want. There's a point when you realize that you must be your own man. You must get out in the world and to be your own man. The only way to do that is get out of your parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Today we've got an economic factor that has come into play. Things have become so expensive. Housing and apartments have become so expensive that it's very difficult for young people coming out of, if you don't go to college, coming out of high school or coming out of college, that the jobs that are available to them, most of them do not pay enough money to get your own place.
Yeah. I don't remember the number, but there's supposed to be a certain percentage of your income that goes to your rent. Certain percentage
it's 30% or less.
Okay,
and
a lot of rents are closer to like 70%.
Yeah.
Of most people's
which means you don't have enough money. After groceries, car, insurance, just basics. I mean, 30% doesn't cover it.
No.
Doesn't cover it. So what we're looking at is an economic situation. So we're going to address that too. when the kids come back home from college, it's time for them to go. All right, it's just time for them to go. And if they can't, then other things have to be put in place, because they are now adults and they're through college, and they can't be freeloading.
Okay.
Okay, and they like to. I mean, if you give them the opportunity, they'll freeload, because, well, why not? I mean, if you get to at least have a place for free, and and do whatever you want to a certain degree, even with your style cramped by your parents, you'll put up with it because it's free, and mom's still making
dinner
and buying dad's paying for the food. And
so even if they have a job,
you don't even have to pay for your own toilet paper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, wow, what a great deal, right? What a great. Can you imagine?
Why leave?
I know.
No, but there should be an itch that makes you want to leave, though. I mean, it happened to me. That's all I can say. I don't know many other people,
but again, the economic situation can override that itch, right? That desire.
Okay. So back to the economy. We have high rent and we have low wages.
Yeah.
And because of that, kids can't move out.
Right. So they're gonna have to save money. If the decision is that they're gonna stay at home, there are a set of decisions that need to be made after that. You're gonna have to figure out what works for you. So we're not gonna tell you exactly what to do, but it's important in life that we all live our lives in ways that we understand that there are boundaries, and there other people have boundaries that it's inappropriate to cross, right?
Okay.
You may have your own boundaries that you don't want others to cross, and other people have boundaries, and there are rules to life, there are standards, there are boundaries to observe. And so all these things come into play because, if you're through college and you still can't afford to move out yet and haven't figured out, that 2 or 3 of you can move into an apartment and probably afford it, right? And that would eliminate having to deal with your parents. But then again, you're going to have to get your own TV. You're going to have to buy your own toilet paper. You're going to have to pay for your own food. You're going to have to get cookware, right? You're going to have to get plates and dishes and cups, coffee makers,
sheets and pillows and blankets.
Sheets, pillows. You're going to have a bed, right? You're going to have a some place to store things, a dresser or whatever. You're gonna, so it's not cheap. I mean, I just went through it with a very close friend of mine. His son came by and we outfitted him with literally like $1,500 worth of stuff just to get him situated as he's moving out of home. Okay, so but again, if they're not quite ready to move away from home, there still has to be some guidelines and some rules, some boundaries, and even though that I'm sure as a parent you want them to save enough money to get out, right? It's like you don't want to impede, you don't want to impede them. You don't want to slow it down that much. You want to make sure that they're able to save enough money. At the same time, they can't. It would be inappropriate to stay there for free once they're adults, once they're out of college.
They should, if they're going to be living at home, they should be contributing financially.
Right. So here's the mistake. Nobody wants to talk about it. And that, I've seen the situation multiple times where the kids don't want to talk about it because if they mention it, then they're going to have to cough up the money or they're going to have to be responsible. The parents don't want to mention it because, if they're our kids, we don't want to hurt their feelings and we don't want to become landlords. So let me just tell you, my parents sat me down as soon as I graduated from college, and I don't think they waited 2 weeks after graduation, right? And they sat me down and they said, so here's the deal. Now that you're out of college, you're going to pay rent. And this is how much it's going to be. And we won't charge you rent for the next 2 months. And at the end of the next 60 days, on the 1st of August or whatever it was, I think it was August actually, or maybe 1st of September, you're paying rent for your space.
That's it.
And you won't be eating the food out of the refrigerator. We'll give you a section of the refrigerator. Uh-huh. And if you're invited to eat the food that's here at the house, then that's different. But you will maintain your own food area. And I was already washing my own clothes, so that wasn't a big deal. I wouldn't let my mom touch my clothes.
Yeah.
It was just standards, right?
Okay.
Right. It's nothing against my mom, but it's like, nope. She'd be like, "Oh, wash your clothes, honey." I'm like, no way. Probably not even from the time I was like a junior or sophomore in high school. I washed my own clothes.
Okay.
It's just, I took ownership.
Yeah.
Right. But still, that could be a boundary too. Look, you're washing your own clothes now, and you're paying for your own soap. Yeah. This is the soap for the family, for the kids that haven't left home yet.
Yeah.
And this is the soap that you buy your soap, and that's here. And this is what part of the price of using a washer and dryer that has already been bought and paid for.
I think that, what it is that I hear you speaking about sounds to me like what I learned as soft cost versus the hard cost. The rent itself is a hard cost, and then you got to things like soap and food and everything that would be considered soft costs. Those are things that you don't necessarily consider when it's time to move out, but you should. And
not only must you, but it's a shock how much the soft costs are. Mm-hmm. Right, and today they're amazing. It's like when you go out and actually have to buy toilet paper or paper towels or whatever. It's like, I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity to maybe ease them in and get them used to understanding. Again, help them with doing budgets.
Yeah.
And budgeting their money so they know where their money is. And so hopefully you've done this already, but if you haven't, this is the time to start, right? It's never too late.
Never too late.
I would arguably say it's the time to start talking about how to manage money goes, way earlier than after they graduate from college. Yeah. But sadly, our schools don't really teach any of that.
No.
They don't really prepare young people to effectively negotiate the world. And it doesn't mean that, and I'm not saying that what they're learning isn't important. It's all important, right? But there's some missing gaps.
Yeah.
And it's not today, and it wasn't yesterday. I mean, it was even at the time that I went to school, and even before. Although sadly, there were the home ec classes for the girls, right? And because that was considered for the girls. And my buddy and I ended up doing elective and did a home ec class, and the girls loved us. So we figured out that it was a great way to get phone numbers and things like that. And ultimately, I had a career as a chef.
Okay. So it actually wound up.
It ended up, I was already very heavily interested in food and cooking and things like that. Had been studying it on my own,
and there's also a lot of these young people that are leaving the house that don't know how to cook.
Let's just mention that. Microwave. That was another thing that was on the list. Toaster ovens. I mean, if you really look at how much those things cost, I mean, for you and me, like $100 toaster oven is like, okay, it's just $100, But for someone starting out, that $100 is, and when you have to do that and a microwave, which may be another $150 or $200, you're talking about a pretty substantial, and it doesn't mean as parents you can help them out, right? I mean, you can give them the stuff you're not using anymore. In fact, I would even start saving it. Instead of, hey, honey, we're going to get a new microwave. Great. Let's put this one in the attic, for, our son or daughter when they move out.
I did that.
Yep. Like I said, I subconsciously did it because he walked out with like $1,500 worth of stuff. So, but brooms, mops. This is funny. This is a great anecdote. I don't know whether you'll ever see it. I'll embarrass the hell out of him. But he said, "Oh yeah, I need a mop. Maybe a Swiffer would be great, right?" Because I've actually turned them all on to Swiffer.
Okay.
Swiffer, that's a whole separate podcast, by the way. Swiffer mops, they're awesome. So and Swiffer, you can send us a check for the advertising anytime that you want. So so he said, yeah, I get a Swiffer. So I walked in, I came out with a Swiffer mop, and he goes, well, you got any of the mop cloths? And I went, yeah, they're at the store.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the store. Go to the store and buy them. I'm giving you the mop for free.
Yeah.
Go to the store and get your own. But again, things like that, that's part of the soft cost that they don't realize. So it's a great opportunity if they're going to stay at home for a while. And also, it's probably a good idea to say, we're going to let you stay here from this point to this point, and then we're going to talk. All right. So it's not like, it's kind of like a lease or a rental in a way. So it's not just like an open-ended deal, stay as long as you want. It's like, look, your mom and I have discussed it, and so we're going to let you stay for a year, and at the end of the year, or a month before the end of the year, we're going to all sit down and talk about what's next. If you're ready to move out, great. If you're not, then we'll talk about what it's going to look like going forward after this period, because it's going to change, right? So it shouldn't be just an open book, because they're never going to learn to be independent. They're never going to want to leave if it's just so easy to stay. And some people stay. I mean, how many? We're reading about it all the time. These men and women that are in their 30s and 40s still living at home.
Yeah.
And look, we're going to probably get letters from people that are still living at home saying, "Oh, it's the greatest thing." I would disagree. I would disagree. I think from a freeloading standpoint, it's fantastic, right? And can you make it work? Well, clearly people do. So, but is it healthy? Is it healthy for relationships? Is it if you're a man and you're in your 40s and you meet a woman that you want to marry, do you think she'd be interested in you that you still live at home with your parents?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I think culturally it's still not okay to be perpetually living at home with mom and dad.
Yeah. So here's what I want to do. We talked about the economy and how that's becoming a roadblock to kids leaving home, but it's not the only thing.
No,
there is culture, there is upbringing, the generation itself, and how kids that are in their 18s to 25s, the people that they also know in their friend groups and whatnot are also kind of an influence on whether or not they leave as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this. It looks like we may have got to the end of our episode time-wise.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's do another episode.
Sure.
And then jump on that.
Sure. And just know, we're not telling you what to do. Yeah, we're just laying out some of the groundwork, and you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have a discussion with your wife and ultimately with your kids, but certainly be clear before you go to them. The most important thing, before you go to them, figure out how it's going to work for you, right? So that you're clear with them. Then when you sit down and say, this is what we need.
Okay.
All right. And then you can listen and find out what they need as well, right? Make sure that it's an open dialogue and it's done with respect, right? That you're not just laying down the law. Right. You're going to stay here. It's like my way or the highway kind of deal. Okay. It's just, it should be an open dialogue because they're adults now. Treat them with respect. I mean, you have to treat kids with respect all the way through.
Yeah.
Actually, from the beginning on. But if you don't, how are they going to learn how to respect others? Right. This is a great opportunity to be an example of how to be an adult and how to talk about difficult things. Right, in the open.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just have a hard time talking about difficult things. But they shouldn't be. If we were able to have an open discussion, they wouldn't be so difficult.
Okay.
I'm kind of just disappear.
So, see you in the next episode. We're going to talk more about birds flying out of the nest.